Joining me in the studio to discuss this is Marisa Jacobs. She's the Director and Head of Immigration and Mobility at Expert Web. Thanks for coming in, Marisa.
Thank you.
Is this a dangerous game to be playing, especially in the context of South Africa?
I think definitely from a Department of Home Affairs perspective, there's a real need to attract critical skills. We've got a shortage of skills in South Africa. There's a shortage of skills globally. So as a country, we are competing for those skills, and we need to have immigration procedures that help us to attract those skills and to retain them in South Africa.
Yeah, and so talking up this rhetoric around tightening controls and ensuring that, you know, there's only legal immigration and all these other inflammatory statements that we hear from the politicians is certainly not going to make South Africa a place to try to get those kind of skills.
It definitely creates uncertainty in the business environment where businesses are looking to attract skills. It makes it difficult from a political perspective, but there's also lots of positive stuff happening in terms of trying to attract foreign direct investment and trying to change Immigration Act to enable businesses to better attract and find those skills.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's a difficult balancing act that's required, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Because at the same time, you do want to project to the world that this is a country where the rule of law pertains, and therefore you've got to talk this tough talk against illegal immigration and all that. On the other hand, you've got to appeal to your electorate to try to make sure that you get the support that you require for you to continue in government.
Correct.
How to do it is the question. But I guess that's where you come in, right?
Correct. I mean, I spoke in a previous interview about the different arms of government. So Home Affairs is there to try and enable attraction and try and enable legal immigration of foreign nationals, and then Labour on the other side is trying to protect local jobs and trying to create local jobs. So there's a definite tension between government departments, and it's our job as business and as leaders in the industry to comment on draft regulation and to enable better Immigration Act to attract those skills.
Yeah, I want us to talk a little bit about, of course, the immigration law that South Africa has and whether it's adequate in terms of what it's trying to achieve. But I wanted to touch a little bit on the language that we use when we talk about foreign nationals. When we use words such as foreign nationals, should we perhaps not be using a word that's closer to the title of your business, expats?
Yes.
Does that not help take away the sting of these people not belonging, if you like? Because the moment you say foreign, the sense is that this person is an outsider who's coming in.
Yes, definitely. I think in the business world where you are attracting skills from foreign nationals, that's definitely the term that seems to be used in business, is expatriates. But when you look at legal drafting of documents, there's certainly more tendency towards referring to foreign nationals.
And that perhaps should be spilling over into the public's discourse so that, you know, it's everyday language that helps to disperse this notion that you're bringing in outsiders.
Correct. Yeah. And if we're looking at the white paper that Home Affairs released on Friday, that's open also for public comment now, they're definitely trying to have three very different arms of Home Affairs. There's the one looking at the identity of our local citizens. Then there is the issuing of visas to foreign nationals, and they've very separately kept asylum and refugee seekers and how to protect their rights in South Africa. So there's definitely moving in terms of having more defined lines.
Yeah, interesting that the ANC is coming up with this white paper ahead of the elections. Assess it for me, if you will, in terms of what the country is trying to achieve from an economic perspective against the backdrop, obviously, the looming election.
Sure. If you look at the draft that's been published, there's a Home Affairs has in the past been looked at as a very administrative function. And what they're trying to achieve with this is the repositioning of the Department of Home Affairs to say we are not only there to perform administrative functions, but we also have a strategic function to issue visas, to protect our borders, and further to
play the role that they're supposed to play constitutionally in terms of trying to protect the citizenry while trying to get the skills that the country requires.
Absolutely.
In your view, good enough? Or are there still areas that perhaps the government should be working on?
I think it's a long road, and I think
Yeah.
it's the first step in the right direction.
Sure. And so if you were to advise them, you would be saying, yeah, good, but...
Good, but assist businesses in a way that they can, that makes it easier for them to attract the skills that we need.
Yeah.
If we can get more of the skills that we need, it would also be, it would also inject money into the economy. It would be easier to attract investment. So I think the system is very adequate in protecting our borders, but it needs a bit of that attracting ability.
Absolutely. And it's also language that we ought to be extending to the opposition parties, because as they come in and they campaign, obviously the language does change a little bit because they have to appeal for votes. Thanks very much indeed for coming in, Marisa.